everyone, welcome to Flexibility Script. This video I'm shooting today is going to be covering some myofascial releases for the hips utilizing a foam roller. So the hips, we're talking about the glutes like glute maximus, medius, minimus, all of them will be hit along with the piriformis, which is a muscle deeper in the hip. You usually hear of sciatic nerve type of issues. The piriformis and the sciatic nerve kind of run along one another, and being able to release the piriformis can help bring a lot of pain relief to that area. The other nice muscle in the hip that we're going to be getting into is known as the TFL, and it's a muscle right along the outside of the hip where the IT band comes from. So if you're having IT band issues or lateral knee pain stemming from IT band issues, know that the IT band comes from the glutes and the TFL. So being able to learn a nice myofascial release with them to release the tissue can have an effect on reducing the pain down the chain, along with any back pain that could be attributed to the tightness in your hip, along with a possible lack in range of motion. For the foam roller, it's very simple to start. You'll just place it on the floor and you'll be having a seat on it. To start, you can just start by gently rolling forward and back over the hips. For the most part, this can be really relaxing and really gentle, and you can kind of pinpoint and be able to differentiate maybe which side may need the release more. I'm going to be demonstrating a release on my left side. So if I want to isolate the left side, I'm going to straighten my legs out, and I'm going to be taking that left ankle and I'm going to be placing it right above the right knee. Once it's there, I'm just going to bend that right knee up until I may feel a stretch in the hip, depending on your range of motion. You just kind of want to get into a stable position, and then once there, on that left hip, I'm just going to shift my weight right over to it. I'm going to be rolling forward and back the length of that hip. And it's as simple as that. This hand can just stay resting, or if you want a little bit more support, it can stay positioned right behind you. If I want to get a little bit deeper into the hip and get into tying the tissue of the piriformis in it, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to be bringing that left knee right towards that right shoulder. So from here, I can grab over or I can grab under, whichever feels most comfortable to you, and you're going to be pulling that knee in right towards that right shoulder. As soon as you do that, if that piriformis is lacking a bit of range, you may feel a nice stretch running to that area. And then right where you feel that stretch, you're just going to be shifting your weight right to it, and then you can gently roll, same thing, rolling forward and back over that tissue. Nice and slow will create the most effective release, as that foam roller will be able to get a little deeper into the tissue. I have the option for both this piriformis isolation and just when I'm rolling over the glutes in general, that if I have a spot that feels a bit more tender, I can just stop and hold over that spot and allow that tension to slowly go away as I slowly breathe into it. When I'm doing this, I can also choose to gently oscillate forward and back to help release the tension as well. So from here, I'm going to go into the release for getting the outside of the hip. So for the TFL, that TFL muscle runs right along the very outside of my hip. So I'm going to actually be laying on the foam roller. So I'm on my side. And pretty much I'm just staying right on that outside of the hip. I can stay here and I can gently roll forward and back. This top foot can be positioned in front or behind. And I can just, whichever feels comfortable, roll forward and back. I also have the option to either be on the elbow or I can be on the hand rolling forward and back. I usually find the elbow to be the most comfortable, and I can be able to be more aware of my shoulder positioning here too. Because when you roll around, you'll try to always be aware of just how your upper body is being positioned as you do the release. So from here, I'll roll forward and back. And I usually will try to find a spot that may feel more tender. So if it's a little up high or right in the middle or just a little lower, I'll settle in on it and I'll place that knee down on the ground. And I usually have my knee bent, and this top leg will either be in line or out in front. From here, to get into the tissue a little bit more, I'm just going to be taking my hip and I'm going to gently rock forward at a 45-degree angle. I'll come back and I'll come back at a 45-degree angle. And I'll stay there in order to help release the tissue along with helping improve range of motion and be able to really tie it all together. So the side, a little bit of the front of the hip, and a little bit back. I can be there anywhere from 10 to 20 repetitions oscillating forward and back to get the most effective release. So in this area, know that IT band comes from here, from that TFL area, so being able to release it, again, will help improve any knee pain that you may be experiencing referring up from there, along with any back and hip pain that you may experience as well. The foam roller is very broad, so it doesn't sink into the tissue quite as deep as it would if you're utilizing a lacrosse ball, making it a bit more gentle for everyday use. And just be aware of how long you spent on it. Let's say you spent about 10 to 15 minutes on it, on one hip, for example. That tissue also needs time to recover. So taking a day off and then repeating it every other day or every third day, just depending on how much time you're on it. If I'm only on it to like warm up pre-activity or just cool down post-activity, and I'm spending about 2 to 5 minutes on it, for example, it could be gentle enough for everyday use, but it really depends on your individual needs and your restrictions as well. Know that when you release the tissue, you also have an effect on your range of motion, so it does play a big part in improving flexibility as well. So give it a try. So glutes, piriformis, TFL. Have a great day.